President Jacob Zuma will join more than 100 heads of state and government at the annual gathering of political heavyweights who attend the United Nations General Assembly in New York. The 72nd session of the Assembly opened on September 12th ahead of the arrival of kings, presidents and prime ministers, with delegations in tow to what is considered the largest gathering of world leaders anywhere on the planet. And as Sherwin Bryce-Pease reports, there will be a number of firsts, with the Secretary-General Antonio Guterres presiding over his first GA since becoming UN chief, and United States President Donald Trump, who will be visiting the United Nations for the first time since his inauguration.
The mood has changed here at the United Nations in anticipation of the arrival of government delegations in what the Secretary-General has acknowledged will be a very busy week. Security is at its peak, journalists are overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task, and diplomats are on tenterhooks, hoping that all the high-level meetings, bilaterals, trilaterals, forums and debates will go off without a hitch. With Ban Ki-moon's exit last December, this will be his successor's first time at the helm.
Global leaders will gather here next week at a time when our world faces major threats, from nuclear peril to global terrorism, from inequality to cybercrime. Hurricanes and floods around the world remind us that extreme weather events are expected to become more frequent and severe due to climate change. No country can meet these tests alone, but if we work together, we can chart a safer, more stable course. And that is why the General Assembly meeting is so important.
Besides the general debate, where each delegation provides a country statement, meetings at presidential or ministerial level will include UN reform, climate change and reinforcing the Paris Agreement, financing the 2030 Agenda. A new treaty banning nuclear weapons will open for signatures, while crises in South Sudan, Libya, Mali and the DPRK will also be front and centre.
This week's unanimous adoption of a new resolution sends a clear message that the DPRK must comply fully with its international obligations. I call on all member states to ensure the full implementation of these and other relevant Security Council resolutions. But the Security Council unity also creates an opportunity for diplomatic engagement, an opportunity that must be seized. The solution can only be political. Military action could cause devastation on a scale that would take generations to overcome.
While leaders, particularly from Africa, are likely to consistently raise the UN's reform agenda, particularly the lack of progress in realigning the Security Council's 72-year-old power dynamic.
Reforms will indeed mean something new. They will allow the United Nations to work in a way it never has before. However, reforms will also represent follow-up. The UN today looks very different from that which was established in 1945. This organization has been reforming and evolving over the years. We have seen this through the General Assembly's revitalization process. We must thus see the UN reforms as an opportunity to contribute to an ongoing process, but with a fresh outlook.
The arrival of President Donald Trump of the host country, highly anticipated. President Trump will host a high-level meeting with world leaders on UN reform that should provide further clarity on how his administration views the world's preeminent multilateral institution. Political developments in South Africa raised questions about whether this could be President Zuma's final General Assembly. Nigeria's convalescing President Muhammadu Buhari embarks on his first international appearance since returning home from treatment in London, while Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe at 93 will be among, if not the oldest heads of state to ever address the world body. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.